What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with ActuallyAdditions. And today, guys, we are going to be setting up a fully automated tree farm. And you might be thinking to yourselves, that's going to be really easy because we have already taken a look at the farmer, which is working flawlessly over here. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't work so well with saplings. You can only use seeds in this, so we're kind of out of luck when it comes to using this to easily set up a farm. But do not worry, ActuallyAdditions gives us everything we need to set up a pretty easy and pretty awesome automated tree farm. So I went into a creative world, messed around for a little bit, and it took me surprisingly little time to actually set this up. And it was a lot easier to do than I thought, so hopefully you guys enjoy the way it turned out. There might be a better way to do it, but I think I got it as compact as it is going to be. Now, unfortunately, it does require a lot of different crafted blocks, so there's a lot of stuff that we have to do today. I already went through and did all of the empowering. It was just empowering of Restonia and Diamantine. So I think we did Diamantine. We haven't done Restonia yet, but it's not that expensive to do. You can see right here, it's just going to take nether brick, redstone, rose, and regular brick. So it does require a trip to the nether, as does the Eye of Ender. But overall, I would say the most expensive portion of what we're going to do today is going to be the requirement for ender pearls. Do not fear though, this block of ender pearls only takes 4, so it's not as bad as you might think. It doesn't take all 9. But without further ado, let's get into some of the crafting for this stuff. So hopefully I don't miss anything. Pretty sure we've got everything good to go. First things first, we are going to be using the phantom redstone face. Now the phantom blocks are pretty cool. They're pretty much allowing for wireless transportation to different things. There's the phantom liqua face, redstone face, the energy face, and the phantom face in general. Probably pretty self-explanatory there. There also are the phantom placers and breakers. Not really going to get into these right now, but these blocks essentially work like tesseracts would for whatever they're specifying. Redstone's a little bit different though. This one is only one way, so you don't hook up multiple of these. You're going to hook up a single piece of redstone to this. You can hook up a single piece of redstone to multiple blocks, but it's going to go one direction, not back and forth. So just keep that in mind if you're using this for anything else. It's a little bit complicated, but hopefully you'll understand a little bit better when I do an example. So that's going to be the first thing we're crafting. That is where the empowered Restonia comes in, and this regular phantom face, which is using the more expensive stuff, the chest, advanced coil, block of ender pearl, and empowered diamantine. So there we go. We're going to grab those out, come over here, and we can start crafting. So we got that. And what is that achievement? Zoom items. Well, we're not using it for items, but zoom redstone signal. That sounded really stupid. It sounded stupid in my head when I was thinking about saying it, but it actually sounded worse saying it out loud. So the next thing we're going to do is also relating to the phantom redstone face, and that is using the phantom connector. This is what you normally do to link any of these blocks together. And this one, again, takes a trip to the nether because you need blaze powder and some more ender pearls. But other than that, pretty cheap. So there we go. I think it looks pretty awesome. I don't really know how a stick is involved in this. If you look at it, kind of looks like vines and stuff, but no matter. It looks cool nonetheless. So we now have that. And next thing we're going to do is go on. I believe this is going to be the ranged collector. Yep. So this is going to allow us to pick up all of the saplings no matter where they drop, which will be great. So where is that in here? Right here. So we got that. Next thing, we're going to have a regular hopper just to use the ranged collector. It does not auto output. That is something that I believe it explicitly states. If you look, that was not the right block. Here's the right one. It auto organized my inventory. Right there at the very bottom. This comes with a disadvantage. It does not auto output. Luckily though, it has a built-in filter to white or blacklist. So if you're worried about this, interfering with anything else you might have going on around it, any precision droppers, really anything, you can set it to either blacklist those items or just whitelist the saplings and possibly apples that you might want to get. So we now have that. The next thing is going to be the leaf eating generator. Now this is going to make the whole system self-sustaining. It's really cost effective in terms of power to start. You'll understand what I'm talking about in a little bit when you actually talk about breaking the blocks, but we're going to use this just to make sure it's always at full power and we don't need to give any energy to any of the blocks in here that use it. Surprisingly, there's actually only one block in here right now that's going to use any energy, and that is the one that's going to do all of the breaking. So there we go, leaf eating generator. And the next thing is going to be making the placer and the breaker. So the placer is going to be the auto placer right here, which is just going to take the cobblestone, basic coil, and palace crystal. And then we are going to be making the long range breaker. This breaks 8 blocks. So just something to keep in mind when you're, setting it all up is you're going to want to make sure there's an 8 block gap between this and the ground so that you're not actually breaking whatever block you're actually placing the sapling on. So we've got 3 auto breakers for this and then a void crystal. Very similar recipe. It's just going to be cobblestone, and instead of the palace crystal, it is the void crystal. So grab all these out and we can do some crafting on this, and that should be the last part of it. So we're going to need 3 of these. Don't want to go over. We're actually going to then go and we can just swap this out, make ourselves our auto placer, and then finish off with the long range breaker. So we actually have everything. Surprisingly little in terms of looking at my inventory now. That was a lot of stuff for a very, very little amount of overall blocks. But now we can get whatever saplings we're going to use. Really, you can only use regular trees that are going to grow the normal size. I think it's like 6 high, 5 or 6 high. I don't really know. If you get any that grow higher, it's not going to work because we need to use the long range breaker, and that's only going to go for 8 blocks. So unfortunately, no spruce trees today, or jungle trees, I guess, but hopefully we can get to those in the future. There might be some way to do it. Now, I did kind of try and organize the base a little, the base, I say with air quotes, I guess, a little bit. I made some of these lasers invisible right through here because we're going to be walking through here. But I have not reorganized the empower yet, so it's just kind of chilling here until I figure out how I want to set up a base, which will probably be never. Also, side note, I did make a drill and the energizer over there, just because you guys wanted me to. It's really actually pretty nice, and then you just throw it in the energizer and it charges it back up. So, what we are going to do now, start setting everything up, so pick where you want everything to go, and you're going to put down the placer first things first. So I think we're going to go right here, nice wide open area. And of course, always have a redstone torch handy when you need to toggle anything. Now, the way that we're doing this, the little trick we're going to use is pushing redstone using a repeater into a block. So we're going to put down the redstone repeater, redstone torch facing whatever block is the one that you're placing the sapling on. And then we're going to place a piece of redstone 1 block over, so right here. Now, the reason we're doing this is because if we put down a sapling, it does not transmit the redstone signal. It's being pushed in here, but the sapling doesn't work like that. I assume it's just because of what kind of block it is. But if we grab a piece of oak wood and come over here, it transports the redstone signal. So this will act if you have no other way, and I know there are block scanners and everything that you could use if you're playing in a mod pack, but we have to get a little bit creative because there is no way, as far as I know, to actually scan blocks in here. So what we're going to do is just say whenever there's a tree that grew there, transmit a redstone signal. So we have this going. We'll put I actually don't want to put the sapling down right now because I don't want it to grow. But what we can do now is take the phantom connector and we can latch onto this block. So we shift right click and it says block stored to this connector. So now what we can do is I actually want to go out and grab, ooh, it's nighttime, so we're going to have to sleep soon. I'm going to grab, I don't have any dirt in here. It's because I did terraforming. We'll grab sand. So we are going to come over here and we're going to go up 8 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This feels really high compared to what I made it before. Let me check just to make sure. Oh, organized again. It can break up to 8 blocks in front of it. Per block broken, it uses 5 CF. So that's why it's so cheap. It's going to use, essentially, it's going to use like 30 to, I guess, 35 for each tree. So it should theoretically go on this block right here. We need to make sure it's oriented correctly, though. And I don't really have a great way to do that right now. I should have thought this through more. Here's what we're going to do. Here is what we are going to do. So the block needs to go where we're standing right now. So we're going to do this, then watch this skill right here. You ready for this? Nope. There's absolutely no way that was going to work. That was a bad move on my part. You know what? We'll get back up there. And we should probably sleep first. But I thought I could do it. I thought I could reverse parkour. I don't know. I thought I could jump back down and get on that block, but I was not fast enough. Okay, so we'll get back over here and make our way back up and place the block down, and then we'll break the block above it. So I need to go up a little bit more. I'll just go up over here to make it easier to actually break that wood block. because that is going to make me freak out with OCD if it sits up there. Okay, so we got that. Oh, and it's going to stay up there. You know what? Whatever. Despawn. Doesn't even matter. So the next thing we're going to place down up here is going to be the leaf eating generator. That is going to go right next to it. Now it's going to start eating those. I believe it has a range of 7. And I do not, as far as I know, think you get saplings from it. From all I've tested, you do not. So what this is going to eventually do is it's going to eat up all your leaves, which means you're going to need a little bit of a backlog of saplings to start. Should not be a problem. I assume you've chopped down enough trees and collected at least a few saplings that you've unfortunately stumbled upon, that it shouldn't be an issue. But what's going to happen is this internal buffer will fill up, this one will fill up, and it'll stop eating leaves until it needs more power. Then it'll eat like 1 or 2 leaves per tree, and that's pretty much all it's going to need to get the long range breaker its power back, because it only uses, again, 35-ish CF per tree that it chops down, and the rest of them will be able to despawn and turn into saplings, and that should be enough to refuel your auto placer down there. Now, the last piece of the puzzle for up here is going to be on the other side. It can really go anywhere, but for symmetry's sake, I'm going to go over to the other side, and we'll just go up on top of this right here, and we are going to place down the phantom redstone face. And this is going to go right here. So this is right now on mode deactivation. So it would try and block, or it would try breaking any blocks that are in front of it. So I believe if that's there, yeah, it'll break it. So luckily right now that tells us that we have the right range. It's not going to try and break it unless it's in the 8 blocks that it can break from. So the range is correct. It gets stored in here. But what we need to do now is take our redstone torch, right click, and set it to pulse. So whenever it gets a redstone signal now, it's going to fire. And what we can do is grab out this phantom connector that we've got the coordinates stored on, and we can right click on this. Shift right click? Yeah, shift right click. So it says the connected block is air. It registers it as air. It's kind of weird. 196, that is 9 blocks away. So it gives the coordinates, how far away it is. I believe they have a max range without upgrades. It should be 16, as you can see on the screen. And it says the connection is fine and working. So as long as you got that, you are good to go. So now, whenever the tree grows in there, it is going to send the redstone signal all the way through. It's going to get here, go up there. That is going to fire, break the tree. The redstone signal will stop, so that won't fire anymore. This will eat leaves to recharge this. The leaves will despawn, and the last piece is going to be getting the range collector and the hopper hooked up. So we will do that right here, ranged collector. Wonder if that would grab our piece of wood. I think it's out of range. It should have a range of 6, so it should be enough to pick everything up, I believe. 1, 2, 3, yeah, way more than enough. And we are going to whitelist saplings only. So that's all we want to have picked up. Let me just verify that it picks them up over here. Yep, so it picks them up over there, and then they get planted. So I'm a little bit low on saplings right now. I also don't think I have any bone meal. I've done my best not to have to fight stuff. I also don't believe that worms actually work here either, because, yeah, so they only get crops to grow faster, unfortunately. But this should be good to go. Eventually, we will be able to put down an auto placer and hook that up to either fertilizer, which you can get pretty easily using, I believe it is the compost right there. We'll talk about that in a future episode because I do think it's pretty cool. It requires other setups though, but we can also make a mob farm if you've got bone meal to spare. All you're going to want to do is have the auto placer on the other side and put whatever bone meal you have in there, and you really don't even need to deal with redstone for these. And the reason I say that is because A, they do not use power, and B, if it's trying to place something down, let's say there's nothing here, and it's trying to bone meal it, it doesn't matter. There will always be something there, and it doesn't really matter unless you want to deactivate it yourself, because when you start bone mealing this, it goes really, really fast, and I mean absurdly fast, because it's instant breaking and pretty much instant regrowth. And then the only problem becomes you're not getting saplings back because all the leaves are still staying up there and they're not despawning fast enough. So just a couple warnings that I might want to, kind of get out there in case you guys start trying to automate this really fast. But for now, it should be really good for me. The items will all be stored up there. And if I really wanted to, I do have the item laser relays right now. So I could grab a chest, which I should have, and I should be able to bring it back down. Hopefully you guys didn't just hear my phone right there. It started vibrating on my desk, but we can bring it down somewhere. I probably want to bring it down like back here or somewhere to the side just because I don't want it to disrupt my farm a ton. So Let's get up here. I really need a shovel too. Okay, so we'll do... Oh, you know what? We can't just do the item laser relay though, because we are probably going to need the interface. So we'll hold off on that for now. Yeah, so we'll hold off on that for now. Doesn't really need to be done. That's got a pretty big internal buffer. I would wait for this to fire off and see it, but I think this tree is going to take a little bit to grow just because it's got one block around it. Now, something you guys probably are going to ask is, does it work forcing it to place on a block above it so you can place it below? No, that does not work. If you drop it down a level, it might, but I think it needs to be placing in an air block and not placing on the dirt block. So I tried it thinking that it would allow for easier growth because trees with blocks around them don't grow as fast, but I don't think we're able to do that, so we might need to get some bone meal up in here. If so, and it doesn't really grow a ton, it definitely does with bone meal or fertilizer, so I will be sure to do that next episode. I think it'll be pretty cool. But that is going to be it for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. If you found it entertaining or informative in any way, please feel free to give it a like, as it does help me out a lot. And I will talk to you guys later.